I woke up to silence. Not the kind of silence you get in a city at night or a quiet room with the TV off. This was ocean silence, too loud to be real. Everything was wrong. My mouth tasted like blood and salt, my ears rang, and the sky above me spun like it had let go of gravity. When I tried to sit up, my ribs screamed. That's when I remembered the storm. The boat, the waves, the screaming wind, the way the world flipped upside down and never came back. I was barefoot, soaked. My clothes were torn at the knees, my fingers scraped raw, but I was alive. Somehow I'd washed up on a beach, pale sand, a thick tree line behind me, no docks, no footprints, no sounds except for gulls and water lapping the shore. I turned in a slow, shivering circle. This wasn't the island we were supposed to be near. My last memory was the engine stalling, the captain shouting, a flash of lightning, then black. Now, nothing but empty sky and jungle. I dug my fingers into my hair, tried to remember what protocol was. Signal fire? SOS in the sand? Stay in place or look for help? But something in my gut said I wasn't alone, that someone, somewhere was watching me already. I squinted up at the tree line. Movement. A flicker. Too fast to place. Not an animal. I took a slow step back, bare heels sinking into wet sand. Hello. My voice cracked. Pathetic. No answer. But the feeling only grew stronger. I walked up the beach toward the trees. Not because it was smart, but because standing still felt worse. The second I crossed into the shade, the heat hit differently. Sticky. Dense. Branches slapped my shoulders. Leaves tangled in my hair. 10 minutes in, I found a path. Faint, but there. Flattened grass, broken twigs, human. I followed it. Maybe a research camp, maybe locals, maybe something better than dying of thirst. But the further I walked, the more I felt it in my skin. This place was not abandoned. And then I saw the house. Not a hut, not a shack, a 2-story villa carved out of stone and wood. It's tucked behind the trees like it didn't want to be seen. No curtains, no lights, ivy on the walls. The whole thing looked forgotten. But there was smoke coming from the chimney. I stepped forward. Something clicked beneath my foot, then, "Don't move." The voice was behind me, low, unmistakably armed. I froze. Slowly I turned and saw him, sun behind his back, shirt dark and half-buttoned, bare forearms lean and scarred, gun in one hand, grip steady, and his face, strong jaw, unshaven. A day or two past control, but it was his eyes that locked me in place. Sharp, cold, alive in a way nothing else on this island was. "Who the hell are you?" he asked. My mouth opened, no sound came out. He stepped closer. His jaw ticked once. I said, "Who are you?" "Harper," I managed. "Harper Lane. My boat crashed. I swear I don't know. You're not supposed to be here." "I didn't choose to be," I said, heart hammering. I was in a storm. He looked me over, eyes dropping to my bare feet, my torn clothes. His grip didn't loosen. Then quietly, "You're a scientist?" I blinked. "Marine biology, fieldwork. We were near." "Lying," he said flatly. "No one's near this island, not without a reason." I stepped back. He didn't move. "I told you the truth," I whispered. A long silence stretched between us. He stared like he was trying to read something in my bones. Then he lowered the gun, just barely. "Storm's not done," he said. "What?" He tilted his head toward the clouds. "Next one's coming. Fast. You want to survive the night? Move." I didn't move. Not yet. Because I finally recognized him. From old news photos, from rumors whispered around courtrooms, from the dossier we once read in a safety briefing when crossing cartel waters. Dante Marino, presumed dead. Most wanted by every family in 3 countries. A ghost. And I had just walked into his grave. I hadn't survived the crash. I'd landed in something worse. He didn't speak again until we reached the house. I followed him because I didn't have a choice. Because the storm clouds rolling in from the horizon looked like they meant it this time. And because no part of me believed that gun he held was just for show. The path was narrow, swallowed by overgrowth. I stumbled once on a root, caught myself and looked up to find him watching me. He didn't offer help, just kept walking like the jungle itself bent out of his way. When we stepped inside the villa, my breath caught. It was beautiful, decaying, but beautiful. Stone floors worn smooth, open archways, books stacked in corners, some with salt-warped pages, a table covered in maps and empty glasses, and on the far wall, rusted weapons lined like artwork. He tossed a towel toward me without looking. "Dry off." I caught it. "Thanks." He moved to the fireplace, crouched, and added wood like it was routine. When the fire caught, light painted his face for the first time. I saw the scar near his eye. Faint but deep, Something sharp, something close. He straightened, arms folded. You're lucky. I don't feel lucky. You are. If that storm had hit harder, you'd be bones on the reef by now. Or worse. Worse than dead? His eyes held mine. Yes. He was trying to scare me. I could feel it. Every word chosen to push me back, to make me small. It didn't work. I'm not here for you, I said. I didn't even know this island existed. He didn't respond. I was doing reef surveys off the southern chain, something with coral bleaching. We weren't even that far out. The storm came fast. I woke up here. Still nothing. Do you want to check my ID? Finally he moved, crossed the room in 3 slow steps. When he reached me, he didn't touch, but he was close enough that I could smell the ocean on his skin. You don't need to lie, he said softly. It won't help you here. I'm not lying. His head tilted. Then you really don't know who I am. I didn't blink. Dante Marino. A beat passed, then another. He stepped back, the tiniest shift, but it felt like he'd just put a wall up between us again. So you do know, he said, or you're a very good guesser. I saw your face in a file once, years ago. And you remember it? You don't forget a dead man with a price on his head. His jaw ticked once, no smile, no denial. I'm not dead, he said. No, but someone wants you to be. He turned his back to me. That hasn't changed in 5 years. I gripped the towel tighter. Why here? No answer. What is this place? He didn't look at me. You've got shelter, water, food if you don't get stupid. You can stay in the East Wing. Don't touch anything. Don't ask about what you don't want answers to. I didn't say I was staying. He faced me again, gaze flat. There's no boat, he said. No radio, no signal. He didn't have to say the next part. I felt it before he said it. There was no way off this island, not for now. The wind rose outside. Rain started to fall, soft at first, then harder. He crossed to a shelf, pulled down a bottle of something clear, and poured 2 fingers into a glass. You've got 3 choices, he said, setting the glass down on the table between us. Break, beg, or survive. And you? His eyes met mine again. I already chose. He said I was lying, but the only thing I saw in his eyes was fear. I didn't sleep. I lay on the too soft mattress in the East Wing, blanket pulled to my chin, eyes locked on the dark ceiling while the storm raged outside. Rain hammered the windows like it wanted in. Wind howled through cracks in the old stone, and beneath it all I kept hearing footsteps. Not real ones, imagined, half-dreamed. His voice too. Break, beg, or survive. I curled tighter, no signal, no rescue, no flares, no GPS, and no one else knew I was here. I stared at the walls until dawn cracked pale and gold through the window. The kitchen smelled like coffee and salt. I stepped in barefoot, arms crossed, throat dry. He was already there, leaning against the counter, shirtless, a white towel around his neck, sweat darkening the waistband of his pants. He'd been training. Knife in the table, a row of clean bullets beside it. He didn't look surprised to see me. I found bananas, he said. You want one? I want a phone. He arched a brow. You think I'm joking? I didn't answer. He tossed a banana onto the counter. You think this is temporary, that someone will come looking, a coast guard, a helicopter, that maybe I'll fix a boat I don't have and wave goodbye. I think that if you don't help me, I said, stepping forward, you're leaving me for dead. No, he said. The ocean left you for dead. I just didn't finish the job. My hand hit the counter harder than I meant to. I don't know what happened to you, Dante, or who you think I am, but I'm not your problem. He pushed off the counter, slow and deliberate, crossing to me. You are now. We were too close. Again. Same heat, same pressure in the air. Like the storm hadn't passed, just moved inside. You're breathing my air, sleeping under my roof, eating my food. Didn't ask you to rescue me? You think this is rescue? I looked up at him. He wasn't trying to be cruel. He was trying to be right. You really don't believe anyone's coming for me, I said quietly. I know they're not. How? His expression didn't change. Because no one came for me. I didn't breathe again until he walked away. I found the cliffs that afternoon. High above the sea, jagged, beautiful. Waves crashed below like they wanted to tear the island in 2. From up there, the whole world felt far away. He caught me there. I didn't hear him approach, but I felt him. You shouldn't be up here, he said. I didn't turn. Why not? He didn't answer. I finally looked at him. He stood a few paces back, arms crossed, wind flattening his dark shirt against his body. There's a cut in the rocks, he said. Natural trap. You fall. You don't get out. I'm not stupid. I didn't say you were. just stubborn. You want me to stay in my room and wait to rot? I want you to survive. That's not the same thing. He looked away. I came out here to save something, I said quietly. The reef, the coral. I didn't think it'd be my own life. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then, you think saving things makes you good? I turned. What do you think makes you bad? Our eyes locked. That was the moment it changed. The tension stopped being fear. It became something heavier, warmer, still dangerous, but close now. Intimate in the wrong way. His jaw clenched, his gaze dropped once, neck to waist, and snapped back up like it burned. He turned and walked away, but he took the air with him. The second storm hit after midnight, no warning this time. Just a sharp crack of thunder and the windows slamming hard enough to rattle the glass. I sat up, heart pounding, and realized the roof above my room was leaking, a slow drip soaking the sheets beside my leg. Perfect. I grabbed the blanket, wrapped it around myself, and padded barefoot down the hallway. The house was darker than before. Shadows stretched across the walls like they had their own agenda. I didn't knock on his door. I didn't need to. He was already awake. The light in his study was on, the door half cracked. When I pushed it open, he didn't look up. Dante was seated at a wide oak desk, bare arms resting on old maps. A pistol sat beside his elbow. Rain hammered the windows behind him like it had something to prove. You're wet, he said without glancing up. Roof's leaking. East wing always leaks, he murmured. Thought it might. You put me there on purpose? His gaze flicked up. You needed a reason to come out of hiding. I wasn't hiding. No? He said. Then what were you doing? Waiting for someone to save you? I walked into the room and stood at the edge of the desk, tightening the blanket around my shoulders. I don't want saving. I want survival. His eyes dragged over me slowly. You think you know what that means. I know what it doesn't mean. Cowering, waiting, acting like a prisoner. You're not a prisoner. You make rules like one. He stood. The movement was quiet, but it felt loud. He walked around the desk and stopped in front of me, close enough to feel the heat coming off his skin, close enough that the storm outside faded just a little. Do you want me to take the rules away? He asked. I didn't answer. 'Cause if I do, his voice dropped. There's nothing between you and me. Not this room, not the storm, nothing. His hand came up, slowly, and brushed the edge of the blanket near my collarbone. Just a fingertip, just enough to make my breath catch. You came in here wrapped in fire, he said. Don't pretend you don't know it. My pulse kicked. You can't intimidate me with that voice, I whispered. He smiled. Barely. I'm not trying to intimidate you, Harper. I'm trying not to touch you. He stepped back, just an inch, but it felt like a loss. Take the library, he said, voice clipped now. Fireplace works. Roof solid, you'll be warm, I swallowed. You always do that? Do what? Walk away when it gets real? His jaw clenched. His gaze locked on mine. And for the first time, I saw it, the flicker of something under the surface, not lust, not fear. Restraint. You don't want me real, he said. And just like that, he turned and disappeared down the hall. His hand barely touched me. Somehow, it felt like a promise and a warning. The library smelled like dust, old wood, and leather. Not the fake kind. Real leather, cracked, sun-worn, probably smuggled in from another life. A fire burned steady in the corner hearth, soft and low, like someone had started it hours ago and never let it die. I curled up in the oversized chair closest to it. Dante's blanket wrapped around me still. I could smell him on it. Salt, cedar, something warm I couldn't name. I hated how much comfort it gave me. I didn't sleep again. My eyes burned from exhaustion, but my mind wouldn't shut off. I kept replaying his words. You don't want me real. He was wrong. I didn't want the mask. I wanted the man underneath it. I just didn't know if he still existed. It was nearly sunrise when I found the courage to explore the rest of the library. Not to snoop, just to feel like something here belonged to me. The books were in different languages, most of them weathered. Politics, war, philosophy. But tucked into the far corner, behind a crooked frame on the wall, was a hidden panel. I pushed it, and the world cracked open. A journal, handwritten. Water-stained pages filled with diagrams. Coral reefs, oxygen levels, temperature shifts, notes in the margins, my language, my field. Someone had been tracking the health of the ocean around this island for years. My heart thudded as I read. It wasn't just data. There were observations, questions, regret. This wasn't just science, it was personal. And then I saw the name in the corner, Karina. I heard him before I saw him. The front door creaked, footsteps on stone, a shift in the air. I turned as Dante entered the library, sweat slick, breath controlled. He must have gone for another run or a fight with the wind. He stopped when he saw what was in my hands, the journal. His entire body stilled. "You read it," I nodded. "Some." Silence. "Who was she?" I asked softly. He crossed the room slowly, but didn't reach for the journal. He sat in the chair across from mine instead, elbows on his knees, hands clasped like they had to hold something together. "My sister," he said. "Karina." The way he said her name, carefully, like breaking glass. She was the only one who ever gave a damn about the world outside our family. She wanted out, not from us, from the blood. I stayed quiet. "She started tracking the reef herself," he continued. "Wrote letters to universities, scientists, grants. She even talked about bringing someone out here, a real biologist." I blinked. "That's why you knew what I was," he gave a tired nod. "She died before she could finish it," he said, "before she could leave." "What happened? She got in the way." His voice went flat. "Wrong place, wrong deal, wrong last name." The fire crackled between us. "She died," he said, "because I didn't kill someone fast enough." I didn't speak. He leaned back in the chair, head against the worn leather, eyes on the ceiling. "I came here to disappear," he said. "But she's still everywhere, every piece of this place, every stone. I built this house for her, Harper. She never got to see it." I stood up, crossed the space between us, and knelt in front of him. "You could have left me to die," I said. "You didn't." "I almost did. But you didn't," I whispered. He looked at me. No mask now. Just a man cracked open by memory. My hand found his, rough, scarred, warm. He didn't pull away. I didn't ask him to touch me. I asked him to feel, and he did. I followed the gulls. That morning the sky finally cleared, sharp blue, too bright after days of storm haze. Dante had disappeared again before sunrise, leaving only a half-drunk cup of coffee on the porch and muddy footprints on the stone. He didn't tell me where he was going, so I wandered. I told myself it wasn't searching, that I wasn't trying to find him, that I just wanted to breathe somewhere he wasn't. But the lie didn't hold. My feet took me farther along the edge of the island than I'd ever gone, past the cliffs, past the caves, until the sand turned sharp with crushed shell and the wind carried something heavier. I smelled it before I saw it. Copper. The scent of blood baked into rock. I slowed. My stomach turned. Near the base of a low bluff, the sand was stained, dark, older than a few days, maybe weeks, but it hadn't been washed away. Not completely. Beside it, half buried in the dirt, was a rusted cufflink. I crouched, picked it up, black enamel, gold edge, a tiny crest in the center, one I recognized from a file I'd read once in a briefing room I wasn't supposed to be in. The Castellano family. One of the 5. I turned sharply as footsteps crunched behind me. Dante. Expression unreadable. Shirt unbuttoned halfway, jaw tight. "You weren't supposed to come this far." "I was walking," I said, rising to my feet. "Your island doesn't have fences." "It has warnings, but I gave you 3. I held out the cufflink. "You kill someone here?" He didn't take it. "I buried him." My breath caught. "I didn't say I killed him," he added. "But you didn't save him either." Silence. "He came for me," Dante said finally. "A message from someone who thought I owed them blood." "And you let him bleed out in the sand." "I gave him a choice," he said. "He picked the wrong one." I didn't know what to say. The firelight version of him, quiet, aching, human, was gone. This was the version the world feared. Sharp lines, hard eyes, voice that could cut through steel. I dropped the cufflink at his feet. "Then you really are the ghost they say you are." He didn't flinch, didn't move. "You think I'm a monster now?" he asked. I think," I said quietly. "You're so used to being alone that you forgot what mercy feels like." I stepped past him, walked away, but his voice followed me. "It wasn't mercy she needed, Harper. It was vengeance, and I gave it to her." The silence between us lasted 2 days, not full silence. We spoke when we had to. "Where's the knife? There's fresh water. Don't burn the rice." But everything else lived in the quiet space between his words. I saw it in the way he wouldn't meet my eyes, in the way he walked faster when I followed, in the way his voice dropped when he was angry, but never raised. We didn't speak about the blood, or the cufflink, or the name, Castellano. And he didn't ask why I slept on the porch instead of the east wing. He already knew. I found the flare gun in the cellar. I wasn't looking for it. I was looking for blankets. The cold was creeping in through the stone and my breath came out in puffs. He was somewhere on the cliffs. Again, the cellar door had been jammed before. He must have unblocked it. It was dark, smelled like salt and smoke and something older. And in the corner, under a tarp and a crate of tools, I found the metal case, unlatched, open, inside, one flare gun, red casing, scratched handle, 2 flares left. I stared at it for a long time, my hand hovered, then I picked it up. The sky was open that night, clear stars, no clouds, the sea was still. I stood at the top of the hill, the wind biting through my sweater, the flare gun cold in my hands, my fingers trembled, not from fear, from decision, because this was it. If I fired it, someone might come, help, rescue, answers, or something else. But I had to know. I closed my eyes and pulled the trigger. The flare ripped through the sky in a trail of screaming red. It arced high, exploded, a starburst of crimson fire above the ocean, and then it was gone. Are you out of your mind? I turned. He was already there. Breath ragged, shirt damp with sweat. I didn't even hear him run up the hill. Jesus, Harper, do you have any idea what you just did? Yes. He stalked toward me, eyes blazing. You lit a beacon on a ghost island. Do you think the people who watch the sky are on your side? I think someone might come. They will. His voice was low now, controlled, dangerous. But they won't be here for you. I swallowed. Then who? His jaw clenched. He looked out toward the water like he could already see the shadows rising. They'll come for me. His voice didn't shake, but I saw it in his hands. Dante Marino was afraid. He didn't sleep that night. I knew, because I didn't either. Dante stood at the edge of the veranda, facing the sea like he was waiting for it to confess. Arms crossed, shoulders locked. That gun never left his side. The same silence wrapped around him, but it wasn't stillness. It was pressure. Contained fury. I stayed inside, tucked behind the open window, blanket around me, watching him through the screen like he wasn't real. Like he was something dangerous the island had conjured for me alone. The flare was gone now. The sky was dark again, but the damage had already bloomed. They could be here in 12 hours. He finally spoke just before sunrise. I hadn't moved from the window. He hadn't moved from the edge of the porch. Wind's in their favor, he added. No radar, no satellites. If it's them, they'll come fast. Them who? He didn't look at me. Could be Castellano, could be Amati, could be someone worse. I came outside. You said they wouldn't come. I said they haven't. His jaw tightened. Until now. And you think I led them here. I think you lit a flare on a dead man's grave. He turned then slowly, eyes locking on mine like a storm finding the shore. I gave up everything to disappear, he said. My name, my money, my power. I buried them so deep the world forgot me. And you, his voice sharpened, you dug it all up with one shot. I was trying to survive. His eyes flashed. That flare wasn't survival. It was desperation. You left me no choice. I gave you shelter. You gave me a cell. That stopped him. He took a step toward me. The heat between us surged again, this time not from tension, from something closer to rage or desire, or the place where both collided. You want choices? He said low. Here's one. His voice dropped to gravel. When that boat comes, you stay out of sight. You do exactly what I say. You trust me when I lie, and you run when I tell you to run, or you die. Simple. I stared up at him. Why would I trust you now? His breath caught, and then his hand moved to my jaw, just enough pressure to make me still. His thumb brushed just under my cheekbone. My skin burned there. His voice dipped. Because I'd kill for you, he said, and that should scare you more than the men who are coming. I didn't answer. Couldn't. He let go like it hurt him to do it. That night, he gave me a knife, a radio, a backpack with emergency supplies, and a single word I wasn't ready for. Hide. I thought I came here alone, but he's the one who's truly stranded. He gave me a gun next. It was small, old, fit in my hand like it belonged there, though I'd never fired one in my life. He placed it on the table between us, no speech, no lecture, just looked at me with those calm, sea-dark eyes and said, only if they see you first. I didn't ask what they meant. The air had changed. The island felt less like exile now and more like bait. I checked the horizon every 10 minutes, heart lurching at shadows that didn't move. I packed and repacked the supplies he gave me. I memorized the emergency route through the cliffs. I did everything he said. But what scared me more than the men possibly coming was what I'd done to him. We didn't talk much that day. His focus was surgical, boarding up the cellar, hiding weapons, destroying evidence of his existence. And yet, He kept glancing at me, like he couldn't stop, like some part of him hated that I was here, and another part couldn't stand the thought of me leaving. By sunset, I couldn't take the silence anymore. I found him by the cliff's edge again, where the wind hit hard and the world opened wide. "You've barely looked at me," I said, coming up beside him. "I've looked too much." His voice was quiet, rough around the edges. "You said you'd kill for me?" He didn't answer. I stepped in front of him. Close. "Would you live for me?" That got him, his eyes locked on mine, and I swear something cracked wide open in his chest. "No one's ever asked me that," he said. And then he kissed me. It wasn't soft. It was heat. Fury. The kind of kiss that ruins everything quiet inside you. His hands cupped my face like he didn't trust himself to go lower. My fingers curled into his shirt, anchoring myself to something I didn't want to name. And when I gasped against his mouth, his breath hitched, like he hadn't expected it to feel like this. Like he hadn't expected to feel, he pulled back, slow, but he didn't let go. "I shouldn't have done that," he murmured, "but you did." "That's the problem," I swallowed. "Don't shut down now, please." His hands dropped. Gaze shuddered. "You're a complication," he said, "one I can't afford." "And you think I wanted to fall for the man with blood on his hands?" His jaw tightened. "This thing between us?" I whispered. "It's the only real thing I've felt in months." He turned away. "Then forget it." He walked away like it didn't matter. But his hands were shaking. They came at dawn. No sound, no warning, while just a sliver of motion on the water, a dark shape slicing through silver waves. I spotted it from the cliffs, barely visible in the low light, but enough to freeze the breath in my throat. The boat, fast, silent, wrong. I ran. Dante was already at the armory when I burst through the door. His expression didn't change when I said the words. "They're here." He nodded once, loaded a final clip into a matte black pistol, slid another into his belt. His movements were smooth, practiced. The man I'd kissed yesterday was gone. This was the ghost. "You remember what I told you?" "Yes." He crossed the room, grabbed my hand. His fingers tightened once. "If I go down," he said, "you run. I'm not leaving you. If they take you, they won't." We stood there, eye to eye, one breath between us, 1 second that could have belonged to any other life. Then he let go. We watched from the trees. The boat pulled in without a sound, anchoring just off the northern shore. 2 men jumped into the surf. One carried a case, the other carried a long gun. I recognized neither. Neither did Dante. His jaw ticked once. Not Castellano. Could be worse. They moved like soldiers, no wasted motion, no hesitation, straight toward the house like they knew it. Dante motioned me back. We flanked around the rear path, moving low. I could feel his energy change with every step, colder, sharper. And when he turned the corner of the house and raised his weapon, I didn't hesitate. I stayed behind him. I held my breath. I waited. Then one of the men spoke, in Italian. Too far to hear the words, but close enough to catch the tone. Not a threat. Not yet. Dante responded in the same language. My heart pounded. They paused. Then one of the men, the taller one, stepped forward and pulled something from his coat. A photo. He tossed it to the ground. Dante picked it up, his hand stilled. I couldn't see what it was, but I felt the shift. "What is it?" I whispered. He didn't answer. The shorter man spoke again, louder now. Dante replied in English this time. Cold. "Where did you get this?" The men didn't flinch. "Too late," the tall one said. "You're back in the game, Ghost, whether you want it or not." I gripped Dante's arm. "What's going on?" He turned slowly. The photo trembled slightly in his hand. "It's not just about me anymore," he said. And when he handed it to me, it was a picture of me, taken weeks ago, walking out of a university building I hadn't told him I'd worked with. The date stamped at the bottom, 4 days before the storm. They hadn't come for Dante, they'd come for me. The photo shook in my hands, not because of the wind, because of what it meant. Someone had been watching me, long before the storm, before the crash, before Dante, long enough to know where I'd be, long enough to plan it. "This doesn't make sense," I whispered. "I'm no one. I don't." "You're leverage," Dante said. His voice was low, tight. "Leverage for what?" "For me." I stared at him. "They knew I wouldn't come out of hiding for a name," he said. "But for a girl? A girl who stumbled onto my island by accident, who asked questions, who made me feel like maybe I wasn't dead yet?" He met my eyes. "That was bait." I took a step back. "No," I breathed. "You think this whole thing was planned?" You were on a research vessel funded by a shell company owned by a Mahdi, he said. You were sent close. The storm wasn't coincidence. The timing wasn't luck. I shook my head. No, I'm not part of any of this. He reached out, grabbed my wrist. You think I want to believe that? He asked, voice cracking for the first time. I think you should, I said, pulling away, if you trust me. His jaw locked. That's the problem, he said. I do. The two men were waiting at the house. Dante told me to stay behind the tree line. I didn't listen. I followed him through the shadows, heart in my throat, until we were both standing in front of the two strangers, like this was the final move in a game neither of us remembered starting. The taller one smiled when he saw me. Pretty, isn't she? He said, and smarter than she looks. You wouldn't believe how hard it was to get her here without breaking her. Dante didn't move, but the silence changed. It tightened, sharpened. He cocked his head. Which one of you dies first? The man laughed. Come on, Marino. Don't be boring. This isn't a hit. It's a message. I don't get mail. No, the man said, but you get orders. Dante smiled then. Sharp. Lethal. You came to the wrong island. Gunfire exploded. 2 shots. Fast. Precise. Dante moved like breath, like instinct. I didn't see the blade until it was in his hand, until it was already in the man's chest. The second went down trying to reach his gun, and just like that, silence again. Blood on the stones, the sea still roaring like it wanted more. I stood frozen. He turned to me, breathing hard, blood on his hands, eyes burning with something that didn't look like victory. They won't stop, he said. You understand that? I nodded. I gave up my name to protect something once, he said. I'll give it up again. What are you saying? He stepped closer, took my face in his hands so gently it hurt. I can't stay hidden anymore. They've used you, and I won't let them do it again. Tears filled my eyes. There's a boat now, he said. I can get you out, get you safe. No. Yes. I don't want safe, I whispered. I want you. His forehead pressed to mine. If I say yes, I lose self. If I say no, his voice broke. I lose you. He kissed me like it was a promise and a goodbye. The boat was burning. I saw it from the cliffs, smoke curling into the sky like the island itself was exhaling. The fire lit the water orange and red. The bodies were gone, dragged out by the tide. But Dante hadn't moved. He stood at the shoreline, soaked to the waist, arms limp at his sides. No gun now, no mask, just a man who had spent 5 years trying not to be found and was now completely exposed. I climbed down the rocks, my legs scraped, hands bleeding, breath tight. He didn't look at me as I stepped into the surf. You torched it, I said. I had to. It was our way off. It was their way in. He turned then, and I saw everything. The grief, the rage, the guilt, the quiet surrender of a man who had run out of places to run. You could have left, I whispered. I should have. You could have sent me. His eyes locked on mine. I don't send away the only thing that's kept me human. The sea rose around our ankles. I was shaking, but it wasn't cold. I don't want to survive this, I said, if it means surviving without you. He stepped closer, just enough for the wind to shift around us. I buried myself on this island, he murmured, tried to forget everything I was. And did you? No, his fingers brushed mine. You made me remember. I swallowed. Then what now? He looked back at the fire, the smoke, the sky. Now we don't hide. He reached into his pocket, pulled something out, a small satellite beacon. Slim, black. I stared. You had that the whole time? He nodded. I said I had no radio. I didn't say I had nothing. You were waiting. I was trying to deserve peace first. He looked at me. I never did. And now? He didn't hesitate. I'll burn every last name, every deal, every bloodline to protect what's mine. His gaze locked on me. If you'll stay. I didn't answer with words. I stepped into him. He caught me with both arms, rough, strong, shaking with restraint. Our mouths met like it wasn't the first time, but the only time that ever mattered. My hands curled in his wet shirt. His breath caught against my skin. There was salt and heat and something like safety in the violence of our kiss. I pressed my forehead to his. We don't survive this, I whispered. We live it. He nodded once and pushed the beacon button. The flare lit the sky one more time, but this time we sent it together. He said I crashed into his world like a storm. But the truth is, he was the one who wrecked me. And I'd let him do it again. 6 months later, the island is quiet again. No gunfire, no shadows, just waves brushing the shore and the slow hum of the generator he finally let me fix. There's a new lock on the weapons room, a greenhouse on the south side, and a ring of bullet holes in the stone wall that no one talks about, but no one patches either. We left once, just long enough to shake the last of the ghosts off our backs. He made a deal. Quiet. Final. One that made the remaining names agree to never say his again. Dante Marino is dead. But the man beside me, he's more alive than anyone I've ever known. He found me at the edge of the reef this morning, kissed my neck, pulled the salt from my hair with one hand. Didn't say anything at first. He never does, not until he's sure I'm safe. You miss it yet? He asked finally. The mainland? I smiled into the sea. Only the coffee. He grunted. You don't miss the lectures? No. The research? I looked at him. I've got a whole island of it. He nodded, bent down, brushed his thumb across the chain around my neck, the tiny coral pendant he carved for me that first night back. You saved me, he said. I turned to him. I made you want saving. He kissed me slow, warm, certain, devastating, and when he pulled back, his voice dropped low. No one's ever done that for me. We still don't talk much about what happened. The fire, the blood, the men who came and never left. But sometimes when the wind hits just right, I see him on the porch with the flare gun in his hand, staring at the sky like he's not waiting for a threat, but a future. And sometimes I swear he smiles. We didn't escape the storm. We built a life inside it. Thank you for listening to Saltwater and Gunpowder. If this story pulled you in, if you felt the fire, the fear, the heartbreak, please tap like, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments what moment wrecked you. Your support keeps these love stories alive. I'll meet you at the next one.